Hey everybody, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even over a month ago, Dragon Age Veilguard was announced, and it got some kind of playback from people. A little bit of attention was put into certain concepts, I'm sure you're aware of that. Sorry about the buzzing, he's just doing some yard work outside. But for the most part, people had their opinions, and I found something wrong with it or the direction that they were going. Now, for those of you that don't know, I did play Dragon Age Origins. I did play Dragon Age 2, which is a little bit more my speed kind of thing, although there were some issues. And of course, Dragon Age Inquisition I looked really forward to because of what was going on with 2. And there seemed to be a central idea that carried over from the first to the second one, and it was not Darkspawn. The idea of mages and Templars was introduced in Dragon Age Origins, and it seemed kind of interesting to me, as especially since when it came to the second one, that's what the whole damn game was about. The idea was the moment that you were found to have any kind of magical skill, Templars, who were these holy knights that took some lyrium or anti-magic dust, would come to your house, take you away, and pretty much lock you in a tower, where you were kept subjugated by the Templars in order to stop you from using your magic and destroying the world. But the second one introduced the idea of a place called Kirkwall, which was all about the oppression of the Templars over the mages. And at the end, a DLC character from the first one, Anders, back when he was introduced, he was just a mage that wanted to keep escaping from the palace because he wanted to get with a beautiful woman and run off into the sunset with her. Then, of course, in the second one, he was openly bisexual because, wokeness is just something that happened a few years ago. Must have been Sweet Baby Ink, or maybe when Trump got elected, or whatever that is. That is a sidebar for another time. Not going to get into that right now. But what I'm saying is, this character was apparently possessed in downloadable content by a spirit from the DLC of the first one of justice that made him want vengeance on all the Templars for the sake of the mages, and caused quite the catastrophe in the process. So when Inquisition came out, I figured, hey, we're going to go into that dynamic. And out of nowhere, they brought back a character from DLC in the second one, Corypheus or Caiaphas, whatever the hell his name was, that apparently was an ancient Tevinter mage that tried to take the throne from the Maker or whatever. And it just didn't make any sense to me. Because why didn't you focus on the mages and Templars? It's something that was simple. And folks, I will say this again. I don't give a rat's ass about story in video games. It gives too much leeway to people that are not writers. And they're not artists, despite the fact they want to think they're a little bit of both. You're neither. You're game developers. Just make fun games. But in this sense, Dragon Age, like most BioWare games, is a story-driven title with some combat and action and what have you. They try to give you a little bit of both, but when you're making decisions that reflect the outcome of the game, it just doesn't make sense to me that those decisions mean absolutely nothing. And it seems as though that's a BioWare thing, or at least since they got bought by EA. The Templar Mage aspect was something that could have easily taken up an entire game, and when it was called Inquisition, it would make sense that you are inquisiting about that. Not to mention this little guy, Sandal, who doesn't really have any impact in anything, despite it looking as though he may have been a Dwarven Mage in the second one, which was a non-possible, impossible, nigh completely impossible thing in the original Dragon Age Origins. So I just look at that as somebody who is your bookman as sort of peculiar. When you make a fourth one and you want to go balls to the wall with the veil opening up or all this craziness, cool. But to get to that point, for it to sort of be on its own as a random event or something that is completely unrelated. I mean, if you played Inquisition, the Templar Mage thing is barely even noticeable. You go around and in some areas you'll see them fighting, and that's about it. and yet they made such a big deal about it in 2. So I just found that to be a little strange, considering it was a really good idea. And as I've told you before, simplicity, a simple storyline. You don't want to go all over the place. You don't want all this madness. The Mage Templar thing had shown that it could lead mages to desperation to the point that they themselves might conjure up demons just on their own. And now suddenly it's kind of happening by itself. So it's sort of just a little too much over the top for something that could have been done so easily. Now, with Dragon Age Veilguard, it's got its own other issues from the few minutes I watched. It was doing a lot of Rory Calhooning, meaning a lot of walking and talking. I don't really care. I'm not playing it. I'm not going to watch anyone else play it. But if you do, have fun, enjoy it. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. I'm sure the ladies are going to be represented with such femininity and beauty. I'm sure the guys are going to be real hardcore badasses that you love with the chiseled looks and everything. And I'm sure there's not going to be so much yapping from characters you couldn't fucking care less about, because it's a AAA game and they're making spectacular things, aren't they? But I just figured I would put my 2 cents in what I saw as something that was a little bit of an issue from the 2nd to the 3rd and where we're going from this point on, because yeah, more DLC is the brunt and the centerpiece of what's happening here, as a character you had in Inquisition that was in your party the whole time apparently was harboring the soul of some ancient elven god or whatever, and another character that had been in all of them gave her own goddess soul to him, so now he's carrying 2 souls, twin souls or something. Hey, lay off the cigarettes. I guess it could be difficult for both. She's smoking for 2. But whatever the case, you have fun with your Veilguard. I'm sure you're going to enjoy every second of it. I myself am backing out. But that was what I had to say involving this particular title, which, as you can tell from my gaming footage here, I did at one point have an interest in. Now, don't care. Thank you all for watching. I have more views when it comes. Stay tuned, take care, and have a great day.